Hello, filmmakers, videographers, and everybody interested in visual storytelling. We are back with a new episode and something very special coming up. What is it exactly, Rainer?
We're going to learn today a lot about how to shoot commercials, product commercials, and food commercials, and not like any commercial you've probably seen before. We'll show you just a small glimpse of what I'm talking about. Okay, I mean, the results are really amazing. And now we are going to show you how this is done. Okay, Matthias, have you seen anything like that before?
Yeah, I have seen product shots like that, but I've never seen such a behind-the-scenes video that is just blown my mind, actually.
So it seems that there's a lot of engineering involved, and the man behind it all is Steve Giralt, and he's joining us now from New York City. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Steve. Great to have you on board.
Thank you. Good to meet you guys, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Steve, you call yourself a visual engineer, and to be honest, I hadn't heard of this term ever before. What does a visual engineer do?
Yeah, thank you. Visual engineering is not really a thing, let's call it. You can't go to it. There's no universities so far that teach it. But it's basically a term that a lot of people in the industry have adopted, that the people that work in tabletop cinematography, it's not anything new per se, but the way we do the work is becoming a lot more technical. And it's basically traditional tabletop cinematography combined with robotics there. So you have art and science kind of coming together in this really awesome way to tell stories using this new crazy method.
So maybe tell us a little bit about your robots. Where can you purchase just such a robot, and what kind of robots are these? And why do you work with them? So many questions, but robots.
Cool, awesome. Let's talk robots. I'll talk robots with you every day of the week if you want. First of all, these robots are basically the same robots used in car factories and manufacturing. These robots are designed to be super fast, but also super accurate too, because they need to put things exactly in the exact same spot every time. So they're like to 0.1 millimeter accuracy or something like that. And so there's a company called Mark Roberts Motion Control. They're actually owned by Nikon. They made their own robots. The most popular one is called the Bolt, which is the robot that we have. So it's a specific Stobli robot that they've modified to have power and video signal cables and all that stuff that go through the arm to your camera. And then more importantly, their software called Flare is what actually helps you program the camera and do really amazing things. Another reason we use them is just their speed and their accuracy. I mean, they pull focus for you, they pull iris, they pull zoom for you, and they'll do it exactly the same way every single time. And this allows you to have full control of where the camera is at what point in time in a really complex, high speed, like 0.5 second movement. It's the timeline I'm working in is like milliseconds. It's not seconds. So it's a really unique way of thinking and creating. That generally describes why and what the robots are.
But you can do, actually, you don't need to program that robot anymore. There's also, you said you can just do it with an app?
Well, yeah, no, you do still have to program it, but there's actually, Mark Roberts Motion Control actually has a new app that's still in beta version where I could actually use my phone camera and like move through a scene. Here we go. I got a Starbucks drink right here. You know, I could be like, oh, from top down and do this. Then I could actually save that movement data it captures from the gyroscope and everything and actually import it to the robot as that exact same movement I just created. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty, I mean, the future, I mean, I think that's the most exciting part about the robotics is they're going to get easier and more accessible every day. I mean, 10 years ago, you needed some guy like hand programming code, you know, XYZ data and stuff. Now it's just like, oh, go from here to here, boom, you know, the robot does it. So, you know, I think looking 5-10 years down the road, you're going to see more robots on sets, less dollies, less humans doing stuff, unless it's you know, reacting to something in real time. But we're in our world, we're not trying to react to a person so much. We're trying to pre-program the whole world and the whole story that we're telling ahead of time.
You get help by robots, but otherwise all, like everything that's happening is real. So you let drinks explode and food jumping and whatever. I mean, you could also create this with CGI, I guess, but you do it, well, like in the real way.
Yeah, exactly. I always compare it to both music and art, right? Like there's something different about live music compared to recorded music. There's something different about painting on a canvas versus painting digitally, you know, and I compare it to the same thing. Like what we do in camera, yes, you could do a similar thing digitally, but it's not the same thing. You know, like the authenticity of especially what we're in. I mean, we're doing food and beverage, which is like the language that everybody understands. Like if you look at something that's CGI and it's not amazing CGI, you're just not going to get that mouth-watering appetite appeal. You know, like I think that's the number one reason, at least with our clients in food and beverage, why they want to do things for real. I feel that for food brands that are trying to be authentic and just drive that realism, it's so hard to do in CGI well, and it takes way longer and it takes way more money. Like honestly, with the robotics and our systems, like just like any other sort of robotic system, is like once you've created it, it's super efficient. You know, like you oh, okay, you want that shot? Okay, we could reload that program, we could reload the thing, and we're there again. Boom, like almost instantly. And that's an interesting thing about like the longer we do this, the more efficient we actually get, and the more shots, the more complex and more shots we could do in a day too. And it's just something that, you know, it's this iteration as you learn and as you create and create it again, like we're able to push the boundaries of what is possible. We're just building on our current experiences and knowledge. So it's really interesting. And, you know, it's really great that brands hire us to do these really amazing things that we do.
So you're not only a filmmaker and an engineer, but also like kind of an inventor, right? I mean, like it seems that each project has a different challenge and different approach. So sometimes you have to build your own gear. What has the craziest setup been that you've done so far?
Well, there's many, but the craziest rig we've ever built is probably what we call the spinning rig of death, which is a platform holding a drink, and then the camera actually spins around it. So that rig, we got the camera going. It was, you know, I think it was like 35 miles per hour or something like that of actual speed. The G-forces, it was like 20 Gs of G-force or something like that. But yeah, and then we did that once, and that was really crazy. Then we did it again recently. Yeah, and you know, doing the second time was way faster than the first time. That's kind of, you know, a great example of how, you know, the first time it took a week to get the thing working. The second time it took 2 days, and we added more to it. So it's really an interesting way. I can't imagine 5 years from now what we're building on.
You're in New York City, which is, of course, a pretty expensive city, even if you say you have a big studio there. No, you rent out, and
it's very expensive.
So tell us a little bit about the future plans that you have with your company.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, you know, just to actually give you a little bit more backstory, you know, so only about 2 years ago, we started The Garage as the production company that I run with my producer. And before that, I was just Steve Giralt, visual engineer. That's who I was. So that's where we kind of created the garage. So we are, bringing on other directors onto our roster that do similar type work. But part of that is we need more space to be able to have more jobs and more things going on. So we're in the middle of a build out of a new studio now. We're moving to Brooklyn to a complex called Industry City. We're also starting the Garage Rentals, which is actually going to be a company renting the robots and the studio and the skill and the production services that go with special effects and all that stuff for other artists. Because at the end of the day, I love making amazing, cool work, but we want to help other people make amazing, cool work too and empower their creative storytelling. So, the whole goal of the garage is to empower awesome image making. So with that, we just started the Garage Learning, which is also an online educational platform teaching visual engineering and actually everything around tabletop cinematography as well. We just did a Kickstarter campaign, crowdfunding, and we just raised $410,000 with that just ended just a few days ago. And we're really excited about that too, because with learning, we could teach other people around the world, and we see it very much like open source in a way where we're actually sharing our process, where so many people around the world that do the type of work we do keep it completely top secret. So that is, I think, a very unique thing that we're trying to do. And in this new space, that basically all these new companies will be under one roof. And I'm really excited for February when we move in and we actually get 3 more big cinema robots that we're getting also. So more robots, we'll have 6 robots. Yeah,
So are there any tips that you could give for beginners and who don't have the budget for a huge robot, but have their small space and so on? So some essential tips for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one is just start doing. I mean, I feel like so many people use the excuse that, oh, I don't have that camera, or I don't have that robot, or I don't have the studio, or I don't have that, so I'm not even gonna get started. And it's like, well, that's one way to guarantee you'll never get there. If you actually want to do this kind of work and learn, I think to start with whatever you have. I mean, we've shown videos where you could shoot with an iPhone and you could actually do pretty amazing things with a smartphone now, where you could do 240 frames per second slow motion. Some even do more now. The lenses, the image quality is getting really, really good. Do you have to be a little more creative in some ways? Yes, absolutely. There was a point where I owned no gear also. I mean, I've just built this naturally over years and years and years. I didn't have somebody that's like, here's $1 million, go ahead, Steve, good luck. It was really, I got my first job, and then that led to the next job, which led to the next piece of equipment, that led to the next job, and the next job, the next job. I've been doing this now in New York City for 18 years, between still photography and what I do now. The video side of that has been kind of the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years now. So it's really not that long, when you consider the work that, 2 years into that, we were doing national TV, international TV for Pepsi. It's, if you really put your mind to it and you're willing to fail and just take steps and realize that the work you create today is going to be garbage a year from now. Not garbage, but realize that it's a nonstop iteration process of life and mastery of any skill, carpentry, woodworking, painting, any of those things. You can't expect to just be doing what the pros do overnight. There's steps along the way to get there, and realize that the first step is just playing with this and what you have in your garage, as we love to, kind of hint at, that there's things around you that you could play with and use to make some cool shots. We even showed an example of using the spinning tray from a microwave to be like a turntable. There's just, and that's the guts of what the Garage Learning is trying to also teach is how our beginner courses are really going to be how do you just use stuff around that you have and do pretty cool stuff with it. Obviously, it's not going to be the exact same as the robot stuff, but you got to start somewhere. And I think admitting to yourself that this is something I want to do and it's going to take time, but I'm going to put that effort in, I think is the first step for anybody. And just realize that, start shooting today, start sharing it with other people. Find a group of people that you can share your work with, get feedback on it. Don't necessarily listen to everybody, but at least get that feedback and consider it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the artist and you have to define who you are as an artist and what you want to be doing as an artist. So I think that's also important to remember, that it takes a little while to find your voice, but after a little while, you should drown out other people's opinions a little more and let your own voice kind of speak, you know.
Thank you so much for joining us. And the greatest thing is, I think you can really feel the passion that you have for those things, and like the enthusiasm for robots and like filmmaking and taking it to the next level. And this is really great to see. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, guys. It was really a pleasure being on here. You know, we should do it again once I'm in our new space, and we could show, you know, 6 robots doing crazy things or something, you know. And, you know, for anybody out there that, you know, wants to learn more, you know, check out the Garage Learning. It's really a great resource.
Cool. Thank you so much, Steve. Would be great to have you on in our show in the near future when you've moved to Brooklyn. And if you got any questions during the time where we see him next, just put it in the comments below and we will ask him the next time, and we really nail it with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.